Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk, back another video day. And today I'm going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys potentially trading for six-time Pro Bowler and three-time All-Pro Davante Adams. Yesterday, Davante Adams requested a trade from the Raiders, as he definitely should. And there have been kind of a list of teams that would be interested in Davante Adams. Obviously, we know the New York Jets. Those rumors have been stirring around, I think, since the Jets officially traded for Aaron Rodgers. But there have been some other teams. The other quarterback that has thrown the football to Davante Adams, his team is definitely linked to Davante and the New Orleans Saints. I personally would love to see Davante go to the Saints because I look at some of the teams that are interested in Davante, who have, wide receiver issues. And I look at the Saints and, I already see a good number one and a good number two there. Rashid Shaheed has been fantastic this year. Chris Olave did have a bad week one, but since then he's been really good. You imagine adding in Davante Adams with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, and you have a running back like Alvin Kamara playing the way he's playing. So that would be terrific. And it's no disrespect to other teams like the Jets and the Browns who are interested in Davante, because I like Garrett Wilson. I like Amari Cooper, but both those guys have had their fair share of struggles this year. So I think that wide receiver trio of Davante Adams with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed would be fantastic. But let's get to the team we're here to talk about. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I said all the other teams that were interested in Davante Adams, their wide receiver group's not as intriguing for me as as the Saints are. Now, when I think of those teams, I'm thinking about the Cowboys too. I love CeeDee Lamb. Honestly, I think with what we saw, what we've seen from Tyreek Hill in these last couple games without a quarterback, honestly, it makes me think CeeDee Lamb's a better wide receiver than Tyreek Hill. And the only wide receiver I think is better than CeeDee Lamb in this league is Justin Jefferson. So I think CeeDee Lamb is the second best wide receiver in football. But I look at their number two, and Brandon Cooks. Not that exciting. Brandon Cooks was pretty solid last year for Dallas. But this year, things have been a real struggle for Brandon Cooks. And now he's injured. So they're saying he's going to miss some time. I mean, he's not even the wide receiver 2 right now. So if healthy, you got a Brandon Cooks who's averaging 22 receiving yards a game. But he's not. He's injured. He's going to miss some extended time. So you got Jalen Tolbert, who's been pretty solid this season, as the wide receiver 2. Honestly, if you ask me, I think the Cowboys are in more need of a wide receiver than the New Orleans Saints are. Just because the Saints have 2 really good wide receivers, meanwhile the Cowboys have one great receiver and then a couple solid wide receivers. And meanwhile, the Saints have an elite running back in Alvin Kamara, and the Cowboys have no running game. A lot of pressures on CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he's getting double-teamed. Sometimes he's getting triple-teamed. So, with no running game for the Cowboys, now with Tony Pollard gone, outside of Jake Ferguson, giving the ball to Jalen Tolbert, throwing the ball to Jalen Tolbert with Cooks injured, there's no one really else out there. I mean, so all the pressures on CeeDee Lamb because, he's getting doubled, he's getting tripled sometimes. So, meanwhile with the Saints, I think things become a lot more trickier to deal with the Saints. If you have Davante, Chris Olave, a fast deep threat with Rashid Shaheed, and then you have a running back in Alvin Kamara, and then a backup running back in Jamal Williams. But I think it makes CeeDee Lamb a better wide receiver if you bring in Davante Adams because, then you can't really double. I mean, you could still maybe double team CeeDee Lamb, but you can't triple team CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be hard sometimes to double team CeeDee Lamb, so it makes him a better wide receiver. And CeeDee Lamb has had a good season so far, but his numbers are down. And mainly, I think the big reason why his numbers are down is because, he's getting a lot more attention than he was last year. I mean, last year he averaged 102 receiving yards a game. Now he's averaging 79. I know it's early in the season. He can pick that number up. But if he continues to get a lot of pressure like he is now, I see that number maybe going up a little bit, but not a lot. I mean, but if you trade for a wide receiver like Davante Adams with a team that doesn't have a strong running game and has a quarterback that can throw the football, CeeDee Lamb's numbers will go up. Davante Adams is going to get the football too. If those guys are getting a lot of attention, Dak then has to throw the football. He has Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, and Jake Ferguson to throw the football too. As a Cowboys hater, if the Cowboys brought in Davante Adams, they'd actually have a shot going up against some of the top teams in the NFC. Now, if they kept this current team that they have right now, with some of the injuries, I mean, we got Michael Parsons injured, you got DeMarcus Lawrence injured, now you got Brandon Cooks injured. I think it might be hard for the Cowboys to make the playoffs just because of the fact it's your best players gonna getting a lot of attention, and you have all these injuries, and you have a team like the Washington Commanders in your division playing so well, and they're a new threat. I think the Cowboys actually have a good chance of potentially being a top threat in the NFC if adding in Davante Adams. And honestly, I think with what we've seen from the Cowboys in the first 4 games, sure they can make the playoffs with their current team because their defense is good at times. They just need to be healthy, and need to be better on stopping the run. But their offense, they have no run game, and outside of CeeDee Lamb, the only really elite player to throw the football to for Dak is Jake Ferguson. So to add in another elite guy next to those two guys in Davante Adams would be incredible for this team and be incredible for Dak. I mean, Davante Adams in the first 3 games, 27 targets, 18 receptions, 209 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. He's averaging 69.7 receiving yards per game. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's averaging 79. I mean, you add in a guy that's putting up those numbers next to CeeDee Lamb. I mean, CeeDee Lamb really hasn't had a wide receiver like that next to him since Amari Cooper. And CeeDee Lamb would still remain the number 1 guy, and I think Davante Adams would have to get used to being the number 2, which at the same time could be a reason why potentially he would not want to go to Dallas. A reason. I mean, look, if he goes to New York, Garrett Wilson's awesome, but Davante Adams is going to be the number 1 wide receiver, especially with, Aaron Rodgers throwing the football. If he goes to the Saints, I like Chris Olave. I love Rashid Shaheed, and those guys are 2 really good receivers. He'll be the number 1 in New Orleans. If he goes to Denver, I love him. If he goes to Cleveland, I love Amari Cooper. I like Jerry Jeudy. Don't love him, but like Jerry Jeudy. He's done some good things this year. Definitely gonna be the wide receiver 1 in Cleveland. If he stays in Las Vegas, he's definitely the number 1 guy there. Dallas is the only team, if you ask me, that if he goes there, he's not the number 1. He's the number 2. And I don't know how he would feel about that, to be completely honest. But I've heard the Cowboys are interested, but then the Cowboys said they're not interested. I think the Cowboys would be stupid not to go after a guy like Davante Adams, especially when all you got to give up is a 2nd-round pick and some other type of compensation. I'm sure some other type of compensation is like a 4th or a 5th rounder. For the Cowboys, with the run game being terrible and CeeDee Lamb, getting a lot of attention from the secondaries because they're not very worried about some of the other guys that Dak has to throw the football to outside of Jake Ferguson. You should 100% go after a guy like Davante Adams. If it's not Davante Adams, maybe DeAndre Hopkins. Davante Adams would make this team dangerous. Now, DeAndre Hopkins, if you add in DeAndre Hopkins, I think it'd be a good addition. Dak could throw the ball to D-Hop. D-Hop's a great wide receiver. If if D-Hop's doing some solid things in Tennessee right now with Will Levis on the football, with Dak, he'll be really good. But, I mean, I love Hopkins. I'm a Texans fan. But Hopkins, the way his career is going right now, Davante is way better and would make this Cowboys team a lot better. And I think like D-Hop is probably like a fourth or fifth round pick, maybe a fourth and a sixth round pick. Meanwhile, you're looking at Adams being a second and a fourth or a second and a fifth. I think it's probably worth giving up that for Davante Adams, and pairing him with CeeDee Lamb. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm 100% doing it. But I don't know if I see the Cowboys making a big move like that at the trade deadline. But do I see Davante Adams going to Dallas? Probably not. But it's a move they should 100% make. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.